We're going to start. I want to make sure everybody's clear what we're doing this Friday, so we have plenty of time. This Friday we'll be meeting downstairs right away, so you can all get printing. You'll all be assigned which printers. It will be independent printing, meaning that you'll all have a certain task. That's what I'm going to show you today, what the list looks like. Also, after what we talked about last week, we're going to look at, I think it's 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, their labs. So you can see basically how they approached it before we actually did the work. We're going to look at that today too. See how we do it. So far you've all built ICC profiles with a certain paper size. What do you think are some of the variables that we should really test that go into printing if we were going to create this lab? Come on.
Paper setting.
Paper setting. We'll say driver setting. Anything else? That's pretty much what it is. What about the actual paper type? Paper. Printer. That was really to build the profiles. We're going to exclude that for now.
DPI.
DPI could be one. Who notices we're not doing this one though? Quit that beat. How about
Yes.
photo black versus matte black? What happens if we use the wrong one? Right? One thing is paper types. Well, that's going to be a lot of this. We'll be color and tonality. When this shows an Ilford sample pack. Ilford makes like none of these papers, by the way. It's hilarious. The sales guy, we want to try these. Like, the reason for that is that we have all these different papers. What's one thing that you notice as I fan it out from all the way back there? What's that? Different white points of paper. So that's going to change potentially what's happening. So white point. Because that's base setting, right? For our images. We're not even talking about luster or glossy. We're talking about just even mattes. Looking at that different white point. Which could include whether it has OVAs or not. So the things that you will be testing will be the Epson P5000, 9570, 20,000. Right, there's 4 different types of ink sets that you'll be working with. From there, we have a slew of papers. We have about 8 different papers. Sorry, just click blank for a moment. From luster to matte papers. From there, we will be printing with the correct black and incorrect black. See what happens. Only with that. We are not testing DPI. Because that's such a subtle difference in color. There is a difference, but very, very subtle. That'd be a waste of time. But from there, what you will be doing is 4 to 5 paper settings per paper, per printer. A lot of prints, a lot of data to record. And then correct or incorrect, photo black. per paper and printer, what our class did, so we have here we have ICC profiles for each. With a media setting. We'll be using that media setting, and then we'll be branching off to different ones. And this will be a little bit clearer when I show you, like I said, the previous labs and how we have it set up. Things we will be testing. This will be completely separate chart with white points. Then what we're going to look at is tonality and color gamut.
Are we doing anything with density?
That'll be tonality. We also have the ability to work with Xerox for one group. And the reason is what happens with the different media settings here. And also the color gamut compared to an inkjet printer. For instance, Aaron had to print a CD cover. We made it on the Xerox, but it's not going to have the same color gamut as an inkjet printer. So let's look at that. Let's look at how much did the media settings there change? Because it changes the heat of the diffuser. So that's why we're going to get downstairs and start printing right away. Some of the readings that can be done instantly when you all show up is the white points for your different papers. You don't all have to take the readings. One person can be like, you know what, I'll do all the white points, or it's a group effort. Just get those done and post up to the Google Sheet. Just be one separate piece. From there, once you make your prints, we can't start reading in for 24 hours. Let's truly make sure that they outgas and they dry the physical prints. So you can truly compare the differences. But this is primarily what we're looking for. And what type of changes do we see? Yes.
Do we need to include information like where it's from? All the the different settings, the three different settings, like where it's printed from.
This is on each target. You have a printer.
I mean, like the three different, and I can't remember the word that it's called. The platforms that we're using. Like, you can see that Adobe, those.
No, because that should be consistent now that we built the profiles.
Okay.
So we'll all be printing out of Photoshop and utilizing those ICC profiles. We talked about last week how to load the profiles in class, right? Going into the library, and then we have those at our disposal. You want to follow the resolution that they built the ICC profiles with. That's why I made sure it's labeled. So if it says 2400, that means that's the resolution they built the profile with. That's what you're going to use for the lab. So, things that, this is how these targets will look. So the printer. When I say media type here, I'm going to change that just to which paper is it. And then your paper settings. That should include like the ICC profile. And this is the only way for you to record them. The matte papers, when you stack them, you don't want to slide because it will truly scuff this tonality quite a bit, and you'll get false reading. Good part about this I think this is a good part, is this chart, I have a SpectraShop file built as a chart. You will open it, and you will go through, and you will read. It will show you a little diagram for going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. This will also give you your paper weights if you want. It should already be recorded. From there, we have absolute black, obviously CMY, and RGB. So we build our color gamuts to see what's happening there. In the past, we had 3 different charts. What just color, tonality. We're combining it this year to make life a little bit easier since we're about a week or so behind. And hopefully it'll make it a little bit easier for all of you. Sound good so far? So Spectra Shocker will be used. The I1s.
What about settings for Adobe, all that sort of stuff? Do you do anything with that?
Everybody's going to be consistent and keep everything in Adobe RGB. The files I'm giving you are set for Adobe RGB, and that's what we should be printing. Because it's more real world applicable anyway. Because that's hopefully where you're printing your photographs from. Good so far? So this is what I wanted to show you. Some good examples and bad examples on this lab. This one's actually from 2018, 5 years old now. We're gonna go through. One of the first things is look at paper white. What's the first thing you tell me about with this paper white reading? Which one has OBAs? Anybody guess? Three dots. Ones that spike up and down. These would have OBAs. Then what we start looking at is tonal plots. This is for a glossy paper on 3 different printers. So this is where we're starting out just comparing the same printer with different papers. But we have the same paper on different printers that we're able to look at. And what happens with the 8300, which is a newer machine, compared to 8100 and 9000. There's an error here with this. I said, this is bad. I'll show you on purpose. Do you think we should really see that much of a difference? Color gamuts? So now, let's go to what I believe is a better example. Here's where we can see the paper whites. So one of the first things we'll address, white points. Then what you do is you'll break it down to looking at different printers, comparing papers on the same printer. And then looking overall as to what's happening with color gamuts between them. As we can see, here's an example of just comparing the 3 different printers and color gamut. 3 different printers, same paper, and tonality. That looks more legit. You all agree that we should see something probably that looks like that rather than the last set of charts? That's why we should start with the back. Then what we can do is we can actually start to look at the tonality with the different media settings. What happens if I choose premium matte setting? This is the wrong black. This would be photo black, this would be matte black. So get that. And last would be on the printer, what happens when I look at different media settings for the same type of paper. This, to me, is a lab. Unlike lab 4, where there was a lot of writing, this one is a lot of, look at what is happening as I change my media settings in my charts. And you're discussing it, right? Because the proof is right here, saying the 8300 is a wider gamut except into this region. I have more of a straight tonality curve than I do with the 8100. So these are things where you're making observations from your diagrams you're going to be creating. Here's one where it's the 8100. It's one paper. And we're looking at what happens with those media settings. So you can see the poster semi-glossy paper. It's actually brighter if it's higher, right? With our LSTAR values. And seeing.
And then, could you separate them all out so you can get better?
We're really just looking at relationships here. So no, I would say when you're changing the media settings like this, having 6 on 1, that's fine. So we can really see the colors anyway. Because we're looking for the relationships with this, right? All these different pieces that we're comparing. And here's where we can see our different L-star values. That's how it's labeled. So again, after we just want to kind of go through and look at some of the stuff developing. Those that have not printed to the Canon yet, I want to show you today how we go through printing to the Canon machine, working with the ICC profile to make sure that we're changing those media settings. Just to make sure again we're prepared to start running. We'll even go through Photoshop and the Epson as well, just to make sure we're good. The good news is we literally have one target to print, which is the tonality and the color gamut together. And you're going to be using those ICC profiles. I'm hoping, because I just finished reading, I have 2 more profiles to read in, to have a nice chart for all of you. There might be some blanks where there's some different missing media settings. We'll fill that in if needed Friday morning, and then I'll make copies of it so you all have what each group used for their media settings on the different machines. It'll be your guide, as well as trying to get them into the name of the ICC profiles. Sound okay? Again, this week is just a lot of printing. Tomorrow week will be most likely some finished printing, but also at the same time reading, taking the measurements. One last thing I want to show you.
So it seems there's not a whole lot of writing going on in this, just kind of explaining what we're seeing.
They didn't have, I took out some of their writing just for today, so I didn't give you all the answers, showing it. But again, there will not be as much writing as Lab 4, but what you need to make sure it is clear, concise, saying, this is what I noticed when I changed the media setting types for this matte paper versus gloss paper. Is the Epson more drastic or is the Canon more drastic? The color gamut between them as well. How does it change? And then the same paper, different printers, or a single printer with multiple papers. How does it change? That's really what we're looking at. And this is why printing color management is so important, because it changes with all these variables. And that's what I'm hoping that you'll pull out of it. This is what I'm going to show you. This is where it starts to be a lot of data. This is just one person's data that they printed. So just trying to create an issue. As it says, matte, tonal gamut, A and B. You need to label it as you start working with one large class, the printer and the paper type. We need to have those media settings. If it's not down here, it needs to be somewhere up top. Glossy. There's canvas. We are not working with canvas this year. But again, this is some of the type of stuff that we will be looking at. You have one sheet up on Google, which is just for the white points. Separate that out. You as a class need to decide if you have a separate one then for all the tonal information, and then one for the color gamut information, or just put it all together since it is one chart. You all need to decide that. So you start pulling that data. Sound good? Again, I want to show you previous labs to kind of get an idea of what we're about to do and why. So you can see, looking at what's happening with tonality and color gamut. That's our big thing. The absolute black also allows us to look at L-star values for which one has the deepest density. Right? The lower the L-star value, the deeper the black. Right? So that's something we can also look at besides the white point. Other questions or concerns?
At the end of the lab, it's supposed to share all the data with the entire class. It's the data part, right?
The data. Yep. All the data we'll be sharing with each other. You are responsible for reading what you print. That is it. If somebody else doesn't do their data, it will be 2-letter grades of a drop. If it's not done when we set up, okay, we're done with printing. We have until this date to have all the data done. Because you're hurting everybody else, especially for this lab. And there's no excuses. We have the I-1s readily available upstairs. You have those targets. It's something you do. The joke was that I was drinking a lot of beer, reading all your club management. You have to see profile targets. Problem is, it's not automated. You have to read each one. It's a little bit more of a pain. That's all. So, on that note, let's just go through those variables we're going to play with. So for the Epson machines, this will simply be an 8.5 by 11. Just work with sheet. The file will be in Adobe RGB. Right now it's currently lab color. But we're going to convert it to Adobe RGB. That's how it'll be provided to you upon my courses. From here, this is where we will not change it. For our printer and the IC profiles that were built, we're not changing profiles. We're sticking to the one for the entire setup. So, say Photoshop manages color. Let's just pretend this is it. All of our profiles are created with perceptual, and we want to have black point compensation on. Everybody okay there? Where we do change the profiles is when we change printer and paper combinations, or change papers on the same printer. We need to make sure we're working with the proper profile to start with. Okay? From there, what we will play with will be print settings. If I come in here now, when we first start, we'll be working with letter, sheet. The first print you make should be the one that utilizes the media setting that you use to create the IFCC profile. From there, let's say that they use enhanced mapped. We want to start to work with other settings that we feel are different enough, meaning that enhanced matte and ultra premium presentation paper matte are pretty much identical. And if you're not sure, this is where you can ask me. But what I would say is use enhanced matte, single weight matte, because that's obviously much thinner and different. Then we can come up here to fine art paper, and we can choose something like exhibition canvas, let's say hot press, natural or bright, ultra smooth fine art paper or watercolor, and then plain paper.
So the paper type is going to influence the thickness of it, right?
It's not to get just influence the thickness. This changes how much ink is laid down. And that's why when we build an ICC profile, we made sure to say this is the paper media setting I work with. Because to be consistent, you have to do the same thing over and over and over. The joke in the fine print workflow classes, once you build your color management system, when it comes time to printing, you go into dummy mode. Because you do the same thing over and over and over each time you print. You don't change anything here. We are doing that. We are doing that so that we can see how much do these black box media settings actually change. our print. We're going to leave 16-bit resolution the same, high speed, finest detail. So the only factor right now is this, our media setting. So even though it sounds like we're printing a lot, we're simply changing this area and our printers. And we'll have a lot of different papers throughout different machines. Does that sound good? Like I said, first when we were looking at it, it's like, oh my god, this is so much. Then we realized, oh wait, for this paper and printing combination, it's just going to be 5 different media settings. The one that was used for the profile, and 4 others.
Are you going to be selecting 4 other media captions?
Nope, you were going to. And the reason why I say that is I want you to think about what would be the difference. And if you're not sure, ask me, are these different accounts? And I'll gladly help you with that. But I want you to think first, so what would be plain paper, watercolor setting, cold press, or hot press, and then the others that we're going with. The other thing that we're going to do is then we want one more, which is using the wrong black. So if we are working with a matte black paper, we want to choose one that uses photo black. If I can find our matte, choose that. Here we are, we're good. See how I changed from matte black to photo black right there? Thank you for the assistant. And here, now we see change back to photo black. A 6 media setting is using the wrong black. So let's see really what happens.
So we adjust that. So like where it says
The finest
Fine.
detail.
finest detail there.
We're being consistent. Sorry. If we built the profile at 2400, we want to keep that the same. All of this is consistent. Same thing over and over and over.
Okay.
We are changing this over. All good? Okay. Now my favorite. Captioning is on my naughty list right now. We'll be going into the Canon. So for Canon, we go to File, Automate, Canon Professional Print and Layout. I wish we were there right now. But I don't play wrong. At least we're on it. Oh, come on. Something else to do there. True demo day.
Sure cannons.
So Epson is much more by far. Technician's been sent out 12 times. Said it was all fixed, and we left it with errors. So no. Alright. Let's see. Alright. Pretend that the plugin actually works and it launched, and here it is. We can print through Photoshop, or we can launch Professional Print and Layout. This is how you're using the GP upstairs in ISL right now, the printer that we've been setting up. With this, all of this point lower, will stay the same. The only thing we're going to be changing here is your media type, just like on the Epson machine. The problem is now we need to pull a file. It's just I need to show you. say this out of the tip, but
I mean, they give you your help. I don't
too early.
know.
Are we? Yeah. Say we're working with letter size. Alright, since it wasn't pointing in the other file, we're just gonna pretend right now. Does anybody see that file on this stuff? Here it is. What's that? Nope. I don't believe in folders.
What's that?
Besides, there's folders on the desktop, and then look at those folders.
1, 2, 3,
So,
4.
alright.
She's dead.
So unfortunately, what we need to pretend is that this is currently 8.5 by 11. Because what's odd about working with the Canon is when you choose your paper setup, what happens a lot of times is it will change the image size. So when it's time for that, we actually need to click on the image. You see where it says size here? Then you come down and say image size. So if that was actually 8.5 by 11, it would fit to that window. That's what we're looking for. Let's see. Just so this makes complete sense. Convert this to RGB. Save it out just for now. JPEG. You can see the pro photo. Here we go. Okay. So, see how I just clicked on it and it said image size? This is where I can rotate it if need be to fit the paper. See how though it changed the size again? So that's why I need to come back then to the image size. Now we actually have it to the appropriate size. There's plenty of white space on each side, so we don't have to worry about it cropping any of it off. You think it's okay to print it upside down like this?
Yeah.
Why?
But it is upside down. I don't know. I mean,
After it prints, all you have to do is this. Now it's right side up.
It's a lot of work.
I know it's a lot of work.
But you need to be professional.
That's why I was a joke. If you have OCD and it really bothers you, just keep rotating it until it's right side up. Make sure you hit image size just in case. I didn't want to bother you all. So, with that, this is where we have our DPI. It's just simply labeled standard, high, or highest. If we go into settings, you can see, it gives you a business slider. Why don't we have number 1 right now, which is the finest? Well, you guess why?
Because of the paper type.
Paper type. It's a paper where we don't need that type of resolution. Where if we were on a photo paper, say semi-gloss, now, of course, probably Now it's just even limiting us, period. So we want to use whatever the group utilized the profile to create the profile. That stays consistent. We'll be working with cut sheet. Yes. Highest resolution. Clear coding. This is something they put on top so you don't see the ink sitting on top of the paper, also known as bronzing. Because the way that the inks now, they're more of a gel, and they sit on top of the paper. If it's glossy paper, we use that. Matte paper, we do not. And the auto setting, like, will know that it doesn't use it for matte paper, and so on. Centered, all the way down here, user ICC profile. This is where we plug in the profile. Again, perceptual, black point compensation on. Only thing we should be changing at this point will be our media types. Your matte papers will be found under fine art papers, coated papers, and plain papers. All of your photo-based luster papers will be found here under photo papers. So again, you'll find 5 different ones for matte papers, and then print one using the wrong black. What's cool about the Canon is there's a photo black and a matte black print head. So it's not dumping and switching ink back and forth. The Epson does dump as you go back and forth. So if you just do us a favor and print all the matte black first and then the photo black, so we're not going matte black, photo black, photo black too much. Sound good? And this is really all that we will be doing on this Friday. With that in mind, there's about 5 of you that are thinking about doing dye sublimation for your final projects. As you have some potential downtime, this is where it would be good for all of you to read how to work with Wasatch. Wasatch, WASATCH, the RIP. And we can have a demo for the full class this Friday, just to kind of give you the step-by-step, which then might make more sense with the reading. And then there's also some videos to help out with that. But trying to get that process going. What I might do during class while you're all printing too is print some of the stuff on some of the Innova papers so you can all watch the process at different times. And then we can talk about it kind of one-on-one for those that are thinking about utilizing the dye sublimation. Does that sound like a good plan for everybody? Fun? This week, Friday, I'd like you to create your own timeline, kind of checkpoints for yourself.
Where's the SW? For professional print? Or the layout quality? Never mind. I was thinking about the quality was for professional layout. And you take the software.
The software for the layout.
We're not to the layout part right now. We're just doing just the print. We're printing the same target over and over and over.
So do we download it onto our computer? The software? Do we need to download anything for us to print this?
So we can either, which is a good question, we can either print from your laptops, or we can load all the ICC profiles right on the computers that are connected to the machines, then print from those stations. This Friday. The Epson P5000 are connected to any of the iMacs in the NTID computer stations. We would just need to make sure we get the ICC profiles. It doesn't matter where we're printing from. Makes it a little bit easier. So, one thing that I want you all to have, again, in that timeline for your final project. Remember, I'm here this week, I'm here next week, then we're gone that 1 week following the Easter holiday. So with that in mind, that's a week also that you need to utilize your time properly, whether it's for this class or other classes. But build that into your timeline. What are you going to be doing during that time? And you just kind of keep to it. And that's when we sit down this week and you have that timeline, we will be drawing up a contract. And those are your checkpoints, which will be part of your grade. So you're not waiting until the last minute on your final project because it's such a large part of your grade for this class. That's why we need some checks and balances for it. Making sure that everybody's doing okay. Let alone your final write-up later on. Your projects will have a presentation for the class. Will be using the final exam time to do so. And then you also create a PDF that can be handed out for everybody. Judging by, I think Lab 4, you're able to see how everybody wrote. For multiple people, one thing that you might want to consider is RIT and NCID both have writing centers. That can help. Another very useful tool is, how many of you use Grammarly? Very simple, basic tool. Even running through Grammarly will let you know if what you're saying is clear or not. So if you don't have time to get to the writing center, I encourage you to at least run it through Grammarly because it will flag where it's maybe not making complete sense. So Zyron, what you missed on Friday is we all looked at each other's labs and self-graded. And by the way, you guys were all way too weak on your grade. Way too weak is what I was saying. I'm trying to be nice to one another, I guess. All those grades have posted. I did that this morning before I came here. And then, of course, doing that without your last one. So you'll have that with my feedback this Friday. Your grades are posted. That's all for my courses. Some of you want to rewrite after looking at everybody's labs. Again, you have until the end of the semester, which would mean the last day of what would be our final exam day.
When will we get our grades back for lab 3?
They're not up there? Okay, I'll have to look at it. It should have been up there like 2 weeks ago. Alright. Thank you for letting me know. Is yours up there?
I don't know.
Okay.
Everyone's grades just don't like
Okay, I'll look there.
add, there's no.
Dr. Reed's not there?
So
Alright.
He's graded and put some marks on.
No, I didn't see lab 3.
Okay.
I think he's graded.
And I already emailed you to let you know that I did want to fix lab 4, but I don't think lab 3 is on.
No,
Unless I
okay.
finished reading it.
Yeah, it was like 2 before spring break, a week before. Alright. I'll make sure I get those up there. Now I'm ready. Can I find them? They'll be on my desk at home.
Okay, I thought I missed it.
Nope.
Can't find them. Just give them some.
Oh, 100.
I think that this is an excellent job. If you lost them, that's on you. We should
No,
take the
it'll be on my
grades.
desk at home. They're just buried. Nothing leaves there. For grading wise. I'll look at that tonight and why they're not actually up there. So it should be there. Sorry about that. But the 4 is up there. You all have that. You also get my feedback as well as your classmates' feedback. The joke is my wife has the Italian proverb which says when one person tells you you're drunk to sit down. So if you see the same feedback from your classmates as well as me, it might be something you want to consider, working on for the next labs. And if you're redoing it, it's a guide for you on what to work on, right? For a better grade. Sometimes it helps hearing it from your peers that they're recognizing besides just your faculty. Also with last week's exercise, that's why I wanted to show you previous year's labs for what you're about to do also, which I think will maybe help. Do you think that helped guide you a little bit on what to expect for this week? A little bit? I want to talk to Annette about kind of getting where we have the labs posted out there. Except we had a board which had labs, which could kind of give a nice reference for you. We just removed the names, if that's what you're worried about. You have good and bad examples. This is an A, this is an F. This is an A and a D, C, something like that. Director's laughing.
That's something in
So-
my head.
So, this is pretty clear for everybody on what you need to do this week. You'll either be working, we'll be going between quite a few different machines. What it's going to be is you're going to have a variety of papers that you're working with and printers. You're not just sitting in one place the entire time. So, We have full variety. Other questions or concerns?
Were they using the I1 profiles or the AC?
Another one. That's what will be on the chart that I'll provide you. So I'm looking at which ones are the better ones. That's where, does anybody have some transition combos to give me that you were printing last week? Do I have all of them to know which profiles were the better ones? Yes, no, maybe so.
You were doing it tonight.
What's that?
You were going to do it tonight.
So we need them before Friday. So any of them that I don't have, we will be deciding Friday before. That's why we'll have to fill in part of it as to which profile is the better one, the ACPU or the I1. The reason for that is sometimes things happen between Adobe and the print drivers. That's what it'll be per machine. Yep.
That's a really stupid question. But like, in a bad profile, what's the steps that can lead to a bad profile? Like, if everyone did the same thing, how is it that some profiles are bad and some are good? Like, if you handle it properly, you like put it in the right setting.
Some people, they said, might not handle it properly. Some people forgot to turn off color management for some of their profiles. So they built a profile on top of a profile. And ACPU pretty much eliminates that because it turns off color management. That was kind of my background. From there, there's wrong media settings. Some people also install AirPrint rather than their print driver, which is wrong. So there could be a whole slew of things that can go wrong. Also, sometimes your operating system, Adobe, don't work, and the print driver don't work properly together. So that's where there's so many different variables, unfortunately, that can cause a bad profile.
Should we let you know before Friday or email this morning what we prefer, or are we going to send it through the class, like
Prefer.
CPU or I1?
I need to see those transition combo prints that you were all working on last Friday. That's what shows us. You're going to see some bad ones. There's some bad prints that already have been turned in. And that's what the first thing we're going to do is decide between the machines, are we working with the ACPU or the I1 per profile.
I was just making sure. Okay. I was like, what?
And some of those that we know look dented, where you know they're not the right one. Remember how they look like they were punched a few times? That I showed you on Friday. And that's part of it as well.
I just asked about like how to make a profile again. I don't know what to do different.
Sometimes it's just you overlook a button. So that's the biggest thing. Just really watching what media center you're working with. And then sometimes it is operating system. We had a serious issue during fine print workflow with the Epson machine sensors. We couldn't use, we couldn't go through I1, or no, we couldn't go through ACPU to make the profiles. It was printed in green, like the one that you all had. It was solid green like that. So it's live and learn sometimes. And that's where Google becomes your best friend. Alright, so this Friday, right away we'll be meeting downstairs so we get into printing. Make life a little bit easier for everybody. We will look at which profiles we're going to work with, and we will create that chart, and everybody will receive a copy of it. Put it through the copy machine. We'll be good to go. And we'll have some demos. Alright, enjoy the rest of your day.